Prawn belongs to phylum Arthropoda, subphylum Mandibulata, and class Crustacea. Penaeus is a common marine prawn and it is having a segmented body covered by thick chitinous cuticle called exoskeleton. And the body is formed of 19 segments and it's divided into two regions called cephalothorax and abdomen. Head is formed of 5 segments, thorax 8 segments, abdomen 6 segments, and the head and thorax fuse to form the cephalothorax, and there is a terminal conical process called telson. Each segment bears a pair of segmented and jointed appendages, and the segments of these appendages is known as podomeres. And the exoskeletal segments are called sclerites. So there is a dorsal sclerite known as terga or tergites and a ventral sclerite known as sterna or sternites. And there is a downward extension of the tergum called pleuron, and the part between the pleuron and the abdominal appendage is known as epimeron. In cephalothoracic region, all 13 tergal plates fuse to form a hard dorsal shield called carapace, and all sternal plates fuse to form the ventral shield. So there is a dorsal shield or carapace and a ventral shield. And in the case of females, the sternum of last thoracic segment has a cup-like outgrowth known as thelicum, in which male deposits spermatophores or semen during mating. And anteriorly, the carapace is produced into a serrated and pointed process known as rostrum. And at its base, there is a pair of stalk compound eyes. And laterally, the carapace is produced into a thin flap which is free ventrally and it is known as branchiostegite or gill cover. Between branchiostegate and body wall, there is a gill chamber or branchial chamber which lodges the gill. Coming to the appendages, there are 19 pairs of appendages which can be divided into two types, that is cephalothoracic, which includes cephalic and thoracic appendages, and abdominal appendages. There are 13 pairs of cephalothoracic appendages which can be divided into 5 pairs of cephalic and 8 pairs of thoracic appendages. The 5 pairs of cephalic appendages include antennule, antennae, mandible, first maxillae and second maxillae. And the thoracic appendages are first maxilliped, second maxilliped, third maxilliped, first caliped, second caliped, third caliped, first non-caliped and second non-caliped. The first 3 thoracic appendages are known as maxillipeds or foot jaws, and the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th appendages are known as periopods or walking legs. The abdominal appendages include swimming legs or pleopods. There are 6 pairs. First one is first pleopod, second pleopod, third pleopod, fourth pleopod, fifth pleopod, and the last one is known as uropod. And these all appendages are segmented and biramous, and the segments are called podomeres. A biramous appendage means as a typical appendage contains a basal portion called protopodite, and this protopodite is usually two segmented. The basal portion of this protopodite is known as coxa and the terminal one is called basis. Arising from this protopodite there are two processes or two rami. So it branches into two. These branches are known as outer exopodite and inner endopodite. So a typical biramous appendage contains a basal protopodite, two segmented protopodite and two branches or two rami. So two rami means two, rami means branch. So two branches. And the exopodite is unsegmented in all the appendages, whereas endopodite is segmented or unsegmented. This is a typical biramous appendage. Cephalic appendages are 5 pairs: antennules, antennae, mandible, first maxilla and second maxilla. These are the cephalic appendages. Antennules or first antenna is the first pair of cephalic appendage, and each antennule contains a protopodite and two flagellar processes. In this antennule, the protopodite is 3 segmented and these podomeres are precoxa, coxa and basis. So in front of coxa there is a segment called precoxa. This precoxa is hollow and it contains a cavity for the eye and opening for the statocyst, which is a balancing organ. And the endopodite and exopodite are many segmented and it is modified as feelers. They are sensory in function, serving as a tactile organ, sense organs for touch. This is the structure of antennule, precoxa, coxa, basis and two flagellar processes. The second pair of cephalic appendage is antenna. It is protopodite is two segmented coxa and basis, and the coxa bears an excretory organ of the spinaeus which is known as antennary or green gland. Here endopodite is long many jointed filament and exopodite is a broad plate called squame. They also serve as tactile organs. This is structure of antennae. You can see in this picture the exopodite is in the form of a broad structure that is known as squame, and the exopodite is in the form of a broad structure, endopodite is in the filamentous. And there is an opening for the renal duct, and the protopodite consists of basis and coxa. The third pair of cephalic appendage is called mandible, which lies one on each side of the mouth. Each mandible consists of two parts, that is, a toothed and calcified base and a two-jointed palp. They are masticatory, that is, used for cutting and grinding and serving as juice. This is a structure of mandible, calcified or tooth-based and a two-segmented palp. Fourth pair of appendage is known as first maxilla. It is the smallest of all appendages. And the protopodite consists of two flattened leaf-like lobes called jaws or gnathobases. And this endopodite is slender and two-segmented, and exopodite is absent. They take part in feeding and serve as jaws to pass food to the mouth. This is the maxillae, first maxillae, the smallest of all the appendages. And this endopodite, exopodite is absent, two-segmented protopodite. The last pair and the fifth cephalic appendage is second maxillae. Here the protopodite is four-lobed and flat. Four-lobed means two-lobed coxa and two-lobed bases. The endopodite and exopodite are flat and unsegmented, and endopodite is small. Here exopodite is broad and fan-like, known as scaphonathite or bailer. This vibrates to maintain a constant flow of water over gills and drives away food particles. So it performs two functions, feeding and respiration. This is the second maxillae. Thoracic appendages are 8 pairs. The first 3 pairs are used for feeding, known as maxillipeds or food jaws, and the remaining 5 pairs are used for walking. They are known as periopods or walking legs. These are the thoracic appendages: first maxilliped, second maxilliped, third maxillipeds, first chelate, second chelate, third chelate, and first non-chelate and second non-chelate. They are all biramous, having a two-segmented protopodite and five-segmented endopodite. This endopodite consists of 5 segments, namely ischium, merus, carpus, propodes and dactylus, and it contains an unsegmented exopodite. Here the chelate legs in chelate legs, the propodes and carpus of the first 3 periopods are directly opposing, which act as pincers. And this structure is known as chelae, which is used to grasp food and push into the mouth. This appendage with chelae are known as chelate leg. Another important feature is that the coxa of maxillipeds and chelipeds is having a respiratory process called epipodite or mastigobranch. And the epipodite of first maxilliped is flat, lobular and triangular in shape, whereas others are long, thin and terminally forked or Y-shaped. The function is respiration. The first maxilliped is thin, flat and foliaceous, and the protopodite is three-lobed. Coxa and bases serve as the jaws. The endopodite is slender and five-jointed, and exopodite is flat, lobular and unsegmented, whereas epipodite is flat, lobular and triangular. The second and third maxillipeds consist of a protopodite which is two-segmented, five-segmented endopodite, unsegmented exopodite and terminally bifid epipodite. Only difference in these two appendages is the difference in endopodite. The second maxilliped is having a curved endopodite in the like a question mark, and the third maxilliped it is straight. This is the first maxilliped. You can see the epipodite is triangular shape here, and in second and third maxillipedes, you can see the shape of the endopodite. One is in the shape of a question mark, another is straight. Next is the periopods or walking legs. It consists of two segmented protopodite, long and five segmented endopodite, and exopodite is small, filamentous and unsegmented. The first three pairs of legs are known as chelate legs because it contains chelae with epipodite, and the last two pairs are non-chelate. Here Dactylus and Propodes. The last two segments of this epipodite is in a straight line, and it is without epipodite, so they are known as non-chelipeds. This is the structure of chelate legs. You can see the Y-shaped epipodite here, and the endopodite, five segmented endopodite having coxa, basis, ischium, mirus, carpus, propodes and dactylus. And here propodes and dactylus are opposing to each other and act as a pincer, so it is known as chelate legs. Other two legs are in which dactylus and propodes are in a straight line, so these legs are known as non-chelate legs. Here the epipodite is also absent. And the abdominal appendages consist of 6 pair of appendages and used mainly for swimming. It is also known as pleopods or swimmerets or swimming legs. They are typically biramous. This is the structure of abdominal appendage. The last pair of pleopod is known as uropod, which serve as tail fins and used in the backward movement. Here the coxa and basis fuse to form a single segment called sympod, and the endopodite and exopodite are flat and oar-like. Here the terminal telson and uropodite together forms a tail fin which is used for backward swimming. In the case of male prawns, the first pair of pleopod is highly specialized. Here the endopodite is having small hooks. The hooks of right and left appendage will interlock to form a copulatory organ called petasma, and it is used for transferring sperms to thelicum of female. The prawn exhibits sexual dimorphism. Here the male is smaller with petasma, and the thelicum is absent and genital opening in the fifth pair of walking leg. Whereas in the females are larger, here petasma is absent, thelicum is present, and genital opening is in the third pair of walking leg. This is the digestive system of Penaeus, which consists of mainly two parts, alimentary canal and a digestive gland called hepatopancreas or liver. The alimentary canal has three divisions: foregut or stomodium, midgut or mesenteron, hindgut or proctodium. The alimentary canal consists of the foregut, which consists of mouth, buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, and it is lined with chitin. Midgut consists of intestine, which is lined by endoderm, and hindgut consists of rectum and anus, which is also lined by chitin. The mouth is a longitudinal slit mid-ventrally situated between third and fourth cephalic segment, and the buccal cavity is a small compressed chamber. Esophagus is short and run vertically from the buccal cavity, and it opens into a stomach. And the stomach is a spacious chamber and is divided into two parts: an anterior large cardiac stomach and posterior small pyloric stomach. In cardiac stomach, the floor contains several folds with setae and spicules and dorsolaterally stout denticles. The denticles and folds together helps in grinding of food, and this structure is known as gastric mill or gastric armature. In the pyloric stomach, the lining extends to the midgut as four lappets or valvulae, one median dorsal, one median ventral, and two laterals. It is used to filter food. And the midgut is straight, narrow tube extending up to sixth abdominal segment and leads to the rectum, a short rectum, and opens to outside by anus. And the rectum and anus belong to the last part, that is the hindgut. It opens to the base of the telson. It is hepatopancreas or liver is a massive organ occupying cephalothorax. It opens to posterior part of the pyloric stomach. It helps in digestion, absorption, and storage of food. Coming to the mechanism of digestion, Penaeus feeds on plankton, which is passed to the mouth by chelate legs and maxillae. And inside the buccal cavity, this food is cut into small pieces by mandibles, and the masticated food is pushed to esophagus by maxillae and maxilliped. The food is further pushed down into cardiac stomach by the wave-like movement of esophageal wall. In cardiac stomach, this food undergo mastication and churning by gastric melt, which mixes the food with hepatopancreatic secretion, which helps in easy digestion. The digestion is completed in stomach and liver, and absorption of digested food occurs mainly in hepatopancreas and at a certain extent in the intestine. And the undigested residue is pushed to outside by the peristaltic or a wave-like movement of the gut wall. Next is the respiratory system. The principal respiratory system of organs of Penaeus is gills or branchiae. The epipodites serve as accessory respiratory structures. There are 18 gills on each side located in gill chamber in between branchiostigate and thoracic wall. Here each gill has a central axis which is known as the gill axis with numerous lateral filaments on either side, just like the arrangement of feather, a central axis and side branches. Lateral filaments, and this filaments is known as gill lamellae, and this gill lamellae again divides and subdivides to form primary and secondary gill filaments. Such gills in which gill lamellae branch and rebranch in a tree-like brana is known as dendrobranchs or dendrobranchiae, and these gills are highly vascularized, that is, it is richly supplied with blood vessels. Based on point of attachment, these gills are three types: podobranchs or food gills, or arthrobranchs and pleurobranchs. These podobranchs are attached to the coxa of the thoracic appendages, and arthrobranchs attached at the junction between thoracic wall and appendage. Pleurobranchs attach to the inner wall of the branchial chamber. And this is the pleurobranch, arthrobranch, podobranch, and the branchiostigate and the coxa. Branchial formula is a formula which shows the number and arrangement of branchiae or gills on one side of the thorax as is known as branchial formulae. So this is the branchial formula of Penaeus. Here we can see that the types of gills, podobranchiae, arthrobranchiae, pleurobranchiae, and the accessory respiratory structure epipodite are on the left hand side, and the above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the appendages, thoracic appendages. So for example, the first appendage is the first maxillary, but it is having only the epipodite. Here the podobranchiae, arthrobranchiae, pleurobranchiae are absent. So total there are 24 appendages, 18 gills and plus 6 epipodites. This is the branchial formulae of Penaeus. Coming to the mechanism of respiration, the gill chamber which encloses the gill is open behind, below and in front, so the current of water is flowing through them. As the water enters the gill chamber and the water flows over the gills, the oxygen dissolved in water diffuses into the blood surrounding the gills, and carbon dioxide in the blood diffuses out, and thus the exchange of gases or respiration takes place. Next is the circulatory system or blood vascular system. In Penaeus, the circulatory system is open or lacunar type. That is, the capillaries are absent and blood flows through open spaces called lacunae or sinuses. And the blood vascular system consists of pericardium, heart, arteries, blood lacunae or sinuses, and blood. Here the heart is a triangular organ which lies in a cavity, hemocoelic cavity known as pericardial cavity or pericardial sinus. And its floor contains a porous membrane called pericardium with valvular opening. And the blood flows into the pericardial sinus through this opening from the hemocoelic spaces. And the heart contains 5 pairs of valvular lateral openings called ostia, and the blood flows from the pericardial sinus to the heart through this ostia. So from the heart arises main tubes called arteries which undergo branching and end in open blood channels called sinuses and spaces called lacuna. Together it forms the hemocoel. And blood from different parts of the body are collected by a pair of ventral sinuses and carried to the gills by afferent branchial channel for oxygenation. And the pure blood after oxygenation is carried to the pericardial sinus by efferent branchial channel. From there, blood flows to the heart through the ostia, thus completing the circuit. Here, the blood or is known as hemolymph. It is a light blue fluid and which contains plasma and amoeboid leukocytes. And the respiratory pigment is a copper containing pigment and present in plasma known as hemocyanin. That is why the blood is blue in color. Here the hemoglobin and erythrocytes are absent. This is a schematic representation of the course of blood circulation in penis. So from different parts of the body, the blood is collected from ventral sinuses and through the afferent branchial channels it enters the gills for oxygenation. After oxygenation, afferent branchial channels brings this blood to the pericardial sinus and from pericardial sinus ostia carries blood to the heart. And from heart, these arteries supply blood to various blood sinuses and lacunae, which are blood channels and blood spaces, sinuses. This is the structure of excretory system. Here the excretory system is a pair of green glands or antennal glands. It is also known as coxal glands or renal glands. It is line enclosed in the coxal segments of antennae. It is having four parts: end sac, labyrinth, coil tube and bladder. End sac is a closed mesodermal sac lined by excretory cells and it communicates with labyrinth by a small opening. And the labyrinth is a spongy mass of highly coiled and branched renal tubules and all renal tubules open to the end sac by the common aperture. It leads in the coil tube which is glandular and mesodermal origin and from that there is a bladder. The bladder is a thin-walled chamber lined by excretory cells and there is a small excretory duct from the bladder which opens to the exterior by an excretory pore on coxal segment of antennae. The green glands performs two functions: excretion, which is the removal of nitrogenous waste, and osmoregulation, which maintains ionic composition, that is, maintaining salt and water balance. Here the nitrogenous waste is ammonia and the elimination is mainly by the diffusion through gills. So it is more osmoregulatory than excretory in function. The mechanism of excretion. The water and other products extracted into the end sac from blood in hemocoel by ultrafiltration. And the ultrafiltrate is known as primary urine and it undergoes selective reabsorption in labyrinth. That is, useful substances are again taken back to blood. The fluid left out in labyrinth is known as final urine, which contains water, ammonium compounds, uric acid and urea. And this urine collected in bladder is passed to outside through this renal opening. Next is the nervous system. The nervous system of penis consists of a brain or supraesophageal ganglion which is connected to the subesophageal ganglion by a circumesophageal connective which is followed by a double ventral nerve cord. So here brain is known as supraesophageal ganglion because it is a mass of nerves which is seen above the which is seen above the esophagus. So here the nervous system is in the form of a ring which contains a supraesophageal ganglion above the esophagus and a subesophageal ganglion below the esophagus. Both these ganglions are connected by a connective known as circumesophageal connective and from this arises a double ventral nerve cord and both the circumesophageal connectives are connected to each other by a small transverse nerve known as commissural nerve or visceral loop. And the supraesophageal ganglion function as an unspecialized brain and three pairs of nerves arise from it. A pair of antenular nerves to antennule, a pair of antennary nerves to antennae and a pair of optic nerves to eyes. The subesophageal ganglion also gives off nerves to the mandibles, the two pairs of maxillae and first two maxillipedes. Following the subesophageal ganglion, there are 6 thoracic and 6 abdominal ganglia and between 11th and 12th body segments, 2 nerve cords remain separated for the passage of an artery called sternal artery. Next is the sense organs or receptor organs. The sense organs include a pair of compound eyes, statocyst, which is the balancing organ, and accessory antenna and setosphere of serve as tactile sense organs. The compound eyes are borne on a mobile stalk and serve as photoreceptors. It consists of large number of simple eyes called ommatidia ocelli, which is arranged radially and covered by transparent cuticle. This is the structure of compound eye, and that is the lateral section of a single ommatidium. An ommatidium has a biconvex lens or cornea formed by thickened cuticle. Below the cornea, the epidermis forms two clear corneagen or lenticular cells which secretes the above cornea. So, biconvex lens or cornea, below that there are corneagen cells or lenticular cells. Below corneagen cells, there is a transparent crystalline cone which functions as second lens and is surrounded by four vitrillae or cone cells. Vitrillae secretes crystalline cone which tapers downwards. Below the cone and in contact with it is a spindle-shaped refractive body called rhabdome, which is surrounded by seven elongated retinular cells or retinulae. The inner end of retinulae secrete the rhabdome. The rhabdome and retinular cells together form the receptor region. Below it there is a basement membrane of eye. Each retinular cell joins a nerve fiber at its base, and the fiber enters optic nerve which ends in optic ganglion of the brain. So surrounding each ommatidium there are pigmented cells called an iris pigment sheath around the cone and a retinal pigment sheath around the rhabdome and retinular cells. There are two types of vision: mosaic vision and superimposed vision. The mosaic vision is in the bright light. The pigment cells expand fully and spread all over the ommatidium, thus isolating each ommatidium from each other. And this ommatidium acts as an independent visual unit, forms a separate image of a part of an object. So a complete image is formed by the apposition or fusion of the images formed by several ommatidia. So the penis gets an outline of the object and understands the movement. Superimposed vision is during light or dim light, the pigment cells contract, thereby causing the adjacent ommatidia to overlap each other. So the images formed by the ommatidia overlap each other to form a superimposed image. The image will not be bright due to overlapping and only a vague outline is received. So the compound eyes are suited to perceive the movements of object. The second sense organ is a statocyst, which is present in the precoxal segment of antennule. They are the organs of equilibrium. It consists of a chitinous sac that encloses a central mass of sand grains which function as statolith, which is a calcareous material, and it's granule and it's surrounded by a ring of sensory setae, and each sensory setae has a swollen base and filamentary shaft, and it is innervated by the branch of antennular nerve. Here the sand grains serve as a statolith. So any change in swimming position of animal or any movement of surrounding water causes the displacement of the statolith. As a result, the statolith press against and stimulate the sensory setae, and the brain responds to it, enables animals to properly orient themselves. This is the structure of statocyst within the attendule. That is the first structure, and the statocyst contains the chitinous sac. Inside it there are sand particles in the middle region which is covered by sensory setae. Next structure is the structure of sensory setae, which contains a long shaft and bristles. So it's also innervated by the nerve fiber. So these sand particles, when they displace, it touches the sensory setae, and this from the sensory setae nerve fibers carry it into the brain. Next is the reproductive system, where sexes are separate, and the male reproductive system consists of a pair of testes, which is a compound tubular glands. It is formed of numerous long and coiled seminiferous tubules in which sperms are formed. Here the right and left testes are continuous or united anteriorly, but they remain separate posteriorly, which is opposite in the case of ovary. Laterally, each testis has several blunt outgrowth called testicular diverticula and is leading backward from each testis long coiled sperm duct or vas deferens and which dilates terminally to form to a glandular chamber which is seminal vesicle or ejaculatory bulb. And leading from it is a short ejaculatory duct which opens on the coxa of the last walking leg. And from the testis, mature sperm reaches seminal vesicles and secretion of the seminal vesicle glue them together and form sperm clusters or spermatophores. This is stored in a seminal vesicle until they are transferred to the female during mating. Female genital organs consist of a pair of ovaries, one on each side of the midline, extending the whole length of the thorax. Posteriorly, the two ovaries are united together along the midline. Anteriorly, each ovary gives out several lateral outgrowth called ovarian diverticula. Leading from the middle of each ovary, there is a short oviduct which open out on the coxa of the third walking leg. Here there is a thelicum which serves as a receptacle where the spermatophores are deposited by male during copulation. Next is the larval stages of Penaeus. Here in Penaeus, the development is indirect and includes 5 larval stages called nauplius, metanauplius, protozoa, zoea and mysis. The first stage is called nauplius, from which egg hatches out and forms this minute microscopic free swimming pelagic larva. It is oval shaped, unsegmented, just having a broad anterior head region, intermediate trunk region and a bilobed posterior anal region. It seems active by a 3 pairs of unjoined appendages bearing swimming setae. Here the first pairs is uniramous, become the antenules of the adult. Second and third pairs are biramous, which becomes antennary and mandibular feet and they form antennae and mandibles of the adult. The mandibular feet have no masticatory process. This is the structure of nauplius. And the head region contains a median eye and mouth opens anteriorly at the base of antennary and mandibular feet and anus lie at the tip of the caudal region and the posterior end has a caudal fork. Nauplius grows and undergoes several molds and finally develops into the metanauplius larva. The metanauplius is oval in shape, having oval cephalothorax with an elongated abdomen and terminating in a caudal fork. The dorsal sheath grows back to form a carapace and anterior end develops a pair of frontal sense organs. The rudiments of maxilla and first 2 pairs of maxilliped here develop as buds behind the 3 pairs of appendages of nauplius. So, in the case of nauplius, after the 3 appendages in metanauplius, the maxillae and 2 pairs of maxilliped develop as buds. The mandibles acquire masticatory function, so the larva starts feeding actively. In Penaeus, the metanauplius is followed by protozoa stage, the beginning of segmentation. This is the structure of metanauplius. You can see the frontal organ and the rudiments of the first and second maxillipedes and maxillae. Next is protozoa and its carapace covers the dorsal surface. There are 7 pairs of appendages present will be well developed. The paired eyes begin to develop near the median eye and the rudiments of the remaining 6 thoracic appendages are marked off. In the older protozoa, the budding stages of 5 anterior abdominal segments are visible. The protozoa stage is succeeded by the zoea stage. This is the protozoa. You can see the rudiment of last abdominal appendage here. And the zoea is the microscopic free-swimming larvae with distinct cephalothorax and abdomen, a pair of stalk compound eyes. The cephalothorax covered by carapace. Anteriorly there is a median spine called rostrum and first 2 pairs of maxillipedes are well formed. Remaining 6 pairs of thoracic appendages appear in the form of buds. The first pair of abdominal appendage is also formed as bud and last pair of abdominal also developed and forms a telson. And in crabs, the young one is hatched directly as zoea. This is the structure of zoea. Mysis, and in prawns and some other crustaceans, the zoea developed into mysis. And the mysis, one of the important or interesting feature of this mysis larvae is that it resembles a marine zooplankton, namely Lucifer. And the body is elongated, laterally compressed and transparent. Body consists of cephalothorax and abdomen. Cephalothorax covered by carapace with an anterior rostrum. 5 pairs of cephalic appendages, 8 pair thoracic and 6 pairs of abdominal appendage, and it looks like an adult prawn but smaller in size. And the mysis, after undergoing certain changes, get transformed into an adult prawn and the life cycle is completed. This is a structure of mysis which looks like the lucifer, which is a marine zooplankton, and it resembles an adult larva.